We apologize for the late start due to some technical difficulties, but making headlines tonight. A quiet and smooth return to school for some students. More stringent regulations coming to deal with delinquent PSV operators. The deadline to apply for the self-employed business interruption benefits expires soon. And coming up in sports, former England cricketers express doubt that Stokes can skipper England to victory over the Windies.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC Newsnight, starting now.
I'm Shane Jones, leading the news. The anticipated return of secondary school students to classrooms across the island got off to a quiet start this morning. This as only a fraction of secondary schools reopened to accommodate senior students completing school-based assessments, commonly called SBAs, for examinations. Rianne Phillips visited some of those institutions and filed this report.
35 students busy completing various components of their school-based assessments at the Princess Margaret Secondary School in 6 Rows. From tweaking documents to mixing concrete, they are focused, concentrating on the task at hand to ensure their final submissions are perfect. Principal Jonathan Corbin says the first day back after lockdown progressed smoothly.
It's been going well. A number of the students arrived on time, and they did, of course, the necessary distancing and waited being checked at the gate. Then they were allowed entry into the school, and they went immediately to the designated areas. We've got 3 areas in operation today: in technical drawing, woodwork, the industrial arts area. There are also some students of integrated science and a limited number of art students.
Many of the upper fifth students say they are happy to be back at school.
For me, when I do school at home, you tend to be lazy in terms of being in the home environment and that sort of thing.
I feel good. This Google Classroom thing, sometimes I just can't understand it. In person, I need to talk face to face with my teacher to really understand what I'm doing.
It's nice because you can get to go outside and you get to see your friends again. And we still keep a social distance.
Other schools, such as Parkinson Memorial, are expected to welcome students tomorrow. However, Principal Ian Holder and some staff members have been adding some final touches.
As a school, we are in a very good place with respect to our SBAs. We are almost completed. We only have a couple of areas where we need to get the final write-ups and so on for our students. We have cosmetology. They are continuing in terms of getting their cosmetology assessments done. We have students who will be back in for technical work in the workshop, and we also have some students who will be doing art. So those are the areas that we will be completing in the next couple of weeks. Right now I'm in the process of erecting some signage and so on so that students can be sensitized and made aware of the necessary protocols that they need to undertake while they are at the SBA preparations.
School days will run from 9 a.m. until 1 p.m. Rianne Phillips, CBC News.
Thank you, Rianne. Changes are coming to the Transport Authority Act, which will allow regulators to take stronger action against public service vehicle operators who continue to break the law. Word of this from Acting Director of the Transport Authority, Maria Boyce. She was a guest on CBC TV8's The People's Business. Sharika Griffith has the details.
Under the current legislation, the owner or operator of a PSV who uses or permits it to be used in a manner which contravenes the Transport Authority Act can be fined $1,000 or imprisoned for 6 months in the case of a first conviction and $2,000 or imprisonment for 2 years for subsequent convictions. However, Acting Director of the Transport Authority, Maria Boyce, expects these and other penalties will be strengthened.
The Transport Authority regulations are being finalized at this point in time, and we have been assured that the regulations will give us the teeth to act in the manner that we need to in order to secure order and structure and compliance on the roads of Barbados.
How soon do you expect those that teething measure and mechanism to be in place?
Mr. Thorne, I wish I could give you a definitive date and time, but the best that I can say is that we expect to have those regulations very soon.
Ms. Boyce also reveals that the Transport Authority is creating a database of PSV drivers and conductors after chairman of the Association of Public Transport Operators, Kenny Bess, suggests one is needed.
What you would find occurring in this industry is that a guy who will continue to breach the law and regulations, you get rid of him, and the next day you'll see him driving somebody else's vehicle without that person calling you or making inquiry as who to the last person he worked for. Right, so in actual fact, we are really recycling people.
However, Ms. Boyce says commuters must also play their part by reporting indiscipline via the authority's hotline number or sending messages, photos, or videos about incidents.
The laws of evidence and fairness and natural justice still obtain. So if a commuter is aware or has witnessed something, we need them to be able to come forward. But what we have found is that there is a severe lack of willingness on the part of people who have been disadvantaged to come forward and to say this is what has happened. And so then in so very many of the instances, we are not able to take any action at all.
The introduction of a cashless system was also put forward as a way to help reduce the bad habits adopted by some operators.
We are all in discussion with a provider in relation to the cashless system, but it has to be legislated. In that way, it would take a lot of the competitiveness off of the road. It points you now in the direction of allowing conductors and drivers to receive a flat salary, right? It allows you then for them to help look after themselves by paying national insurance and that sort of thing.
The APTO chairman says his organization has submitted a number of proposals to government to help bring discipline to the sector. However, those efforts have been impacted by COVID-19. Sharika Griffith, CBC News.
On the People's Business last evening, we also heard that the arrival of the more than 24 electric buses on order could be delayed as a result of COVID-19. Transport Board CEO Fabian Wharton made the disclosure as he sought to clarify that the electric bus currently on the road is not owned by the board. The retrofitted diesel bus, which is owned by Endless Electric, is however part of the Transport Augmentation Program, which marries private and public sector operators. As for the 33 buses on order, Mr. Wharton says they are on their way to Barbados.
With COVID, this has now become a fluid situation. So I cannot hardline a date for you right now because we have to look at these shifting lines as things occur as it relates to shipping. So I would say originally we were saying early July operational, but right now I cannot give a definitive date due to what has happened with COVID.
Barbados has reached day 16 without any new COVID-19 cases. The 25 people who were tested for COVID-19 yesterday were all negative for the viral illness. 4 people who are positive remain at the isolation facility at Harrison Point, St. Lucie. The number of tests conducted by the Best dos Santos Public Health Laboratory has now reached 5,925. There have been 92 confirmed cases of COVID-19 in Barbados. 81 people have recovered and 7 succumbed to the virus. One of the island's largest rum distilleries is continuing to assist with the fight against the spread of the COVID-19 virus in Barbados with the donation of a second batch of hand sanitizer. Mount Gay Distilleries Limited has so far donated more than 8,000 bottles of the Mount Gay manufactured product worth over $180,000. The donation went to the company's employees, government agencies, including the Royal Barbados Police Force, SEDIMA, the Barbados Drug Service, the Barbados Customs Department, Barbados Postal Service, and select business partners. Managing Director Rafael Grisoni explained that some of the businesses receiving donations from this batch included restaurants across the island in preparation for their reopening.
We have geared our efforts towards these agencies and businesses to assist them in the protection of our population, from the frontline agencies battling the virus for the past few months, and really we thank them for that, to our partners in the trade, that from now they are going to serve the public again. And it's great to see that restaurants and probably bars are open to public, and we need to support. So in addition to those agencies, we also presented our staff member with sanitizer and care packages for their homes, which is of course natural. At Mongué, we are committed to the health and safety of the Barbadian community, our employees and the people who visit our island.
The opposition People's Party for Democracy and Development is calling on government to ensure public servants who decide to opt out of the BOSS scheme are not disadvantaged. This from spokesman on tourism and regional and international transport, Scott Rutherhead. He says government should have offered the bonds to the general public instead of focusing on public servants. Mr. Rutherhead says due to their job status, some may feel pressured into accepting.
Victimization is in fact very real for persons who are in acting or temporary positions within the public service, or for those who are in line for promotion. And these people may feel vulnerable, they may feel pressured to accept these bonds. We would like to call on government not to victimize workers who have decided that it is not in their interest to take up these bonds, because after they have heard both sides of the conversation, some may decide that this is not in their interest.
Mr. Rutherhead was speaking during a media conference over Zoom earlier today. He has also urged government to bring forward the date for repayment of the bonds. The Royal Barbados Police Force is still carrying out investigations into the shooting death of 28-year-old Kadeem Ramon Brathwaite of Butlers Avenue, Spooners Hill, St. Michael, which occurred at Pioneer Road, St. Michael yesterday. Police say about 7:35 p.m. officers responded to reports of shots being fired in the area of Pioneer Road and Reese Road, Bush Hall, St. Michael. On arrival, police discovered Brathwaite's motionless body with injuries. Ambulance personnel were summoned, but the victim was pronounced dead at the scene. Meanwhile, lawmen have also updated the status of 2 men injured in a separate shooting incident last evening. It happened about 8:20 in the area of Country Road, St. Michael. Lawmen say a number of men were reportedly liming outside of a residence when they were reportedly attacked by a group of masked men. 2 men were injured and were transported to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital by private motor vehicles. The last update provided by police says one of the men injured in the second shooting was in stable condition, while the other was in surgery. Anyone who may have information that can assist with this investigation into either of the incidents should contact Police Emergency at 211, Crime Stoppers at 1-800-TIPS, the District A Police Station at 430-7242, or any police station. Well, straight ahead in regional news, 4 members of Antigua and Barbuda's security forces charged with murder. Then we'll have sports a bit later on. But before we get to all of that, here's a tip from Cooperators General Insurance.
This tip of the day is brought to you by Cooperators General Insurance Company Limited. Insurance the way you want it to be.
Cyberbullying. What can we do as parents? Monitor your child's online activity. There are many third-party apps for parental control, and many social media apps have built-in parental controls. Familiarize yourself with the apps your child uses. This tip is brought to you in association with the Child Care Board and UNICEF, helping to protect our children while they surf the web.
Checking in with our regional neighbors now. In Antigua and Barbuda, the police officer and 3 soldiers charged with the murder of a man appeared in court today. The 4 were remanded to prison and will reappear on September 24th. The development comes against the background of intense investigations and growing calls for justice.
Investigators turned the searchlight of scrutiny on their own in a case which has arrested the nation's attention. They have now gathered what they say is enough prima facie evidence linking 4 members of the security forces to the crime: 44-year-old police officer Jason Modeste of Sweets, 25-year-old ABDF Lance Corporal Shaquille Thomas, also from Sweets, as well as 2 20-year-old ABDF privates, Armal Warner of Pears and Alia Martin of Jennings. The Police High Command has commended the Major Crimes Unit for their work on this investigation. For the family of the slain Bruce Greenaway, this is a major development. Now it's over to the judicial process to determine the guilt or innocence of these 3 men and 1 woman. Chief of Defense Staff Colonel Talbert Benjamin says the Army gave full support to the police in the probe into this matter.
The Antigua Barbuda Defense Force and my command in particular, in the interest of transparency and accountability, believes that whatever information, whatever support we can provide to the Royal Police Force of Antigua and Barbuda, we will do so and continue to do so.
He is, however, cautioning the public against rushing to judgment and says natural justice and due process must take their course.
For the Antigua Barbuda Defense Force, we believe in the judicial system as operates in Antigua and Barbuda. And for us, under that system, all people are considered innocent until such time as proven guilty by a court of law. And so we ask and we encourage the general public to allow the system to work, allow the evidence to lead us, and wherever it takes us, that is where we should go.
The lifeless body of Bruce Greenaway, who lived in Falmouth, was found in Indian Creek on April 13 this year. His family had first suggested there may have been a link between their loved one's death and members of the security forces. Since their social media post, there had been a growing chorus of public agitation for charges to be laid.
In St. Kitts and Nevis, the leader of the main opposition St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party, Dr. Denzel Douglas, said today that June 5th general elections had been hijacked in a large measure by the many irregularities and anomalies that took place. He has so far refused to concede that the polls were free, fair, and free from fear. Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris led his coalition Team Unity to a 9-2 victory in the elections, saying that he was grateful for the support and faith put in his administration by the electorate.